My timeline is like get sovereign assets to be able to exit 500 million within the next 10 years. But, you know, I kind of would like it to be just like how Hormozy did his, like with acquisition.com, that it's like, once we got to 100 million, we are considering selling, and then we grew it to 500 million, and now we just don't want to sell because we're having so much fun with it, right? I want to get to that point where I'm like, okay, sovereign assets could sell for $500 million, but I'm having so much fun with it that I don't want to, right? And throughout this entire time, my goal is to be able to build a portfolio of 100 businesses that I'm invested in. So I'm 28 now. 10 years from now, that's going to be 38. So add another 5 years. I'm thinking like by 43, like latest by 45, I'm thinking that $1 billion mark will be hit.
Hey, y'all, I can't believe it. Did we just do this? Did we just get Jake Paul in the house? Oh my God. Let's go. No, but I'm gonna start with that shit, bro, because Andy Elliott event, I see this guy almost 2 years ago. And I'm like, motherfucker, yeah, bro, you look like fucking Jake Paul. And he's just like, get that shit all the time. And then I saw that you're doing an event, and I saw you and your boy. We actually had Christopher on the show, and so you guys are doing an event. Tell a little bit about the event you guys have going on in Scottsdale.
Yeah, you talking about the one in May or the one that we just had?
Is it one coming or the one that you just had? Because when did you just have the one you just had?
We just had the Freedom Funders.
Yes, that's the one.
April 19th.
April 19th. How'd it go?
It went absolutely fantastic.
Dude, congratulations, bro. Congratulations. So, hey, it's in the past, but you can follow this guy. Links down below if you want to check out what he's up to.
Yeah, no, we do a Freedom Funders event at least like once every quarter.
Okay.
We try to do it in like 2 to 3 different cities. Like, for example, this past quarter, we did one in Seattle.
That's what's up.
And then this time, obviously, we did it here in Scottsdale.
That's sick, bro.
But yeah, no, we had a fantastic turnout. And, the reason why I put Freedom Funders originally was because I'm just tired of all these, like, networking events that are very pitchy.
Yeah.
That are very, like, salesy, where you just kind of go there, you're, like, hanging on the wall, like, on the side of the event, and then all you're really doing is you're just getting pitched on what everybody else is doing, and then you kind of like leave with just nothing really. Contacts,
Yeah, that, and also I think too a big thing that I see with events is that, like, and I just did a video on this, and it's like if you want more energy, it's like know where the fuck you're going. When you have your goals and you have your vision and you get behind those and you just get super just obsessed. You know what I'm saying? You'll have that energy and you'll have that ability to fucking push harder. And I feel like sometimes with the events, not only what you're saying, I feel like if people are lost and don't know where they're going, then you have individuals, I'm not gonna say any names, that like to kind of like play off the fact that this person may or may not know, more or less don't know where they want to go. So it's almost like, here, I have the drink the fucking Kool-Aid, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like you sign up for something or whatever else. And I've done it, bro. I've done it. I went to one of Dean Graziossi's event, fucking paying for whatever, getting into wholesaling years back. Yeah. And I think it happens to the best of us. Can you relate out there?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I wanted to do differently this time, is because, like, again, we don't charge for our events. Like, there's a free ticket and there is no pitch at the end.
Okay.
Because at the end of so here's the thing, right? So what we teach is essentially different fundamentals about finance, right? Like, essentially, what do you do to be able to essentially do better financial planning?
Yeah.
And then how to be able to get to from the point where you're at to becoming an accredited investor.
Oh.
So, essentially, most people essentially can get there whether they want to work with us or not.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I believe in is that that information should be free, because having information alone doesn't get you anywhere.
Yep. Agreed.
I think information that is applied, that's where it's valuable.
Yeah.
And again, people that come to our events, they'll get the information for free. So the idea is that obviously, if they're going to do something about it, they're going to come work with us. Why? Because we give them the free information. We have the experience. We have the track record. So we're already going to make money with the client whenever they onboard with us to become a client to get to point A, B, and C.
I love it.
That's why we don't have to charge for any coaching. We don't have to charge for any upsell events. We don't have to charge them for any type of like monthly retainer.
Mm.
Because again, the idea to be able to get from where they're at to becoming an accredited investor should be pretty simple. And I say simple not as in a way that it's easy. I
Yeah.
say simple because it should be pretty straightforward. It should be an actual blueprint that is doable, that you can actually get done.
I love
And a
that.
lot of people, they gatekeep a lot of information, and essentially that's why a lot of people fail at it, because they essentially keep paying for more information without having any execution.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. I love that. 100%, dude. 100%. And it's so true, because have you out there done that? Paid for something, kept on paying for it, trying to figure out because you were inspired, right? You saw the post, you saw the ad, you saw whatever, and you're like, oh, this is fucking it. And then you're still trying to find the it. So you're fucking spending more and spending more and spending more. Question for you: when we talk about accredited to not accredited investor, and we're on the lift off experience, so we're here to help you lift off. Let's talk a little bit about what that looks like from the perspective of how do you become. We don't know all the details, but let's just say, what is accredited investor?
Yeah, so an accredited investor, I think currently right now the guideline is you have to have at least 200K in cash,
Okay,
or if a net worth of 5 million or something like that.
got it.
It does vary and it does change a lot of the times. And some private equity firms, they just need you to say it that you're an accredited investor. Some other private equity firms, they require you to prove that you're an accredited investor.
Got
Right.
it.
So it just depends, honestly, on it depends on the individual, it depends on the situation. So, but that's kind of like in my mind, when I'm looking at an accredited investor, somebody who has 200K or more to invest.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And so when you say accredited investor, from the perspective of what does that mean to someone who's like, okay, I want to be a accredited investor? Like, what type of perks? What makes it like,
Like, why do you want to be an
incentivized?
accredited
Yeah. Like, why does
investor?
it matter to me?
Absolutely. So here's the reason why. So most people believe, and again, and I say this with a grain of salt, right? But
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
people believe that the way to become financially free is through real estate, right? Like you buy a
Mm.
house, you live in it for 2 years, you do the
Mm-hmm.
BRRRR method, right? And you get another property, and so on and so forth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or you start doing fix and flips,
Okay. Okay.
and then you spend a long time to try to make a profit and all that kind of stuff, right? So and again, that's a clear pathway that works,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, that has worked, but it does take a little bit of time.
Mm.
So my idea, in
Mm.
order to become the reason why I want to become an accredited investor as soon as possible,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
because 100% of billionaires in this country have been made through private equity.
Got it.
So what does that mean? What does private equity means? Well, it means that you're able to now invest into
Mm.
opportunities that are private, that you cannot have access to, for example, through Robinhood or Webull, or you go through Edward Jones, right? You can't do
Yeah.
that because it's private equity. And that's the biggest thing with private equity. The biggest problem in why people don't have access to those pre-IPO opportunities that are going to get them the most amount of returns. And again, when I say most amount of returns, I'm talking about like 4 times their
Mm.
investment, 12 times their investment, 20 times their investment, is because private equity has a huge barrier of entry, and it's
Mm.
also private, meaning like you cannot Yelp investment banker and try to like call someone, hey, I would like to buy some SpaceX founder stock. Like, it just
Mm.
doesn't work that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to know the right people, and you have to be an accredited investor to do that.
Got it. So basically, it's like an inner circle of individuals that you could be a part of after you get to a certain point, which is being an accredited investor, and then you have access. So your firm or your entity, the connections that you have once you get to that level, has these insider, I guess, information about what is going to hit IPO.
Correct. Yeah, we don't want to call it insider information because that's illegal, right? But we do have, but we
The
do
audience
have,
likes that. Okay. Yes. Yes.
right? Yeah, no, but we do have quote unquote, like, I don't want to call it insider, but we do have those relationships
Okay.
established with certain venture capital firms and certain private equity firms that have those opportunities. And again,
Mm.
the idea behind that is that as an accredited investor, if you want to invest into private equity, if you want to invest into pre-IPO opportunities, you have to have minimum about $100,000 or $500,000 that you can just write a check for.
Got it.
So that's why, again, it's like when people say like, "Oh, I want to become a billionaire." It goes back to when Gary Vee was going viral to a lot of his videos. When people say, "Oh, watch, like next year I'm going to be a millionaire and stuff," and then there's a 25-year-old people is like, "Okay, but how?
Mm.
Like you're not going to be a millionaire because like you have no plan." You get what I mean? So like that's
Yep.
why for us it's like I was stuck in that same scenario, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm selling these policies, I'm doing business, right? I'm selling life insurance at the time. And I'm like, okay, but like what's my plan to be a billionaire? If I want to be a billionaire, how am I going to get there?
Mm.
You know, so that's why it took me so long. It took me, like I said, over the past 4 to 5 years, almost 7 years, to be able to get all of this stuff figured out. That's why we put together this blueprint, which is called Freedom Funders. And again, it's not something that people have to do. Right, when we talk in our events, it's not like, hey, you gotta follow this, and you know you gotta get into our inner circle for like $3,000, or you gotta pay us like $5,000
Hmm.
for mastermind coaching, so that way you can get access to this. It's like, no, because here's
Yeah.
the thing: if you do real business, whether you sell a life insurance policy, whether you finance a real estate project, whether you do an acquisition, whether you do an actual equity deal, you're getting paid when you do that.
Yeah.
So that's
Makes
why
sense.
it doesn't make sense to me when there's all these gurus out there that are just charging 5,000, 10,000, 20,000.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
very hard to quantify. It is very hard to quantify what actionable steps and what are like how are you going to get me to the next level? What are we going to do that you're going to get me from point A to point B?
Yeah.
Most people when they charge for coaching, they're just selling resources.
Yep. Yep. And if you're proactive, you go on YouTube, fucking watch a bunch of videos. You could teach yourself. You don't need that, and it makes a lot of sense too. Because then when they become the accredited investor, then it's like, okay, well, let's invest, right? And as you invest, then you could make money, and then there's opportunities in the back end. You don't need to just do all the front end
Yeah.
coaching and all the fees.
Absolutely. In my opinion, the only time you should pay for somebody's hours or somebody's time,
Yeah.
it would be a therapist or an attorney, or somebody like that, to be honest.
Okay.
And that's why it's like, uh, it is very rarely, like, and I've been in the private equity space for the past like 4 years now,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I've noticed, very rarely I've noticed people charging for a retainer. And the only
Yeah.
time that they charge for a retainer is when they get a lot of like, tire kickers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people that they won't verify who they are and all that stuff. And at that time, it's like, okay, well, I wasted a lot of time with you. Like, if I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna shop around to my contacts. Like, pay me my retainer
Yep.
to make sure that you actually do have the money that you say you do
Mm-hmm.
have. Because
Mm-hmm.
if I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna talk to my investors and I'm gonna talk to these private equity firms. Like, I do not want to ridicule myself bringing
Yeah.
a nobody to you.
Exactly.
So that's the only time. But as far as like coaching and also, I don't know. I know I'm just like sounding like a broken record.
Let's
but
go, bro. No, I like that. I like that. I think that's the thing too. There's a reason why this podcast is here for personal development, right? Help you guys all lift off, whether it's personally, professionally, spiritually. This is more on the professional side, and I love it from the perspective that, like, hey, y'all need to wake the fuck up, okay? Don't just buy the course or just think that there's a magic pill out there. You know, like, I think the number one thing is get clear about what you want, and once you say, oh, I want to be a billionaire, then it's like, who do I need to be around, and what type of offer am I going to be offering? What type of problems am I going to be solving? Like, I'll give you an example. So my goal with Liftoff Agent as your number one marketing positioning agency and calling 350 agents to craft the solution that we have for today. And at the end of the year, we'll have 500 agents, right? And on accident, I say accident, grew this whole team in the Philippines. I go out there every single year, and the goal is the $300 million exit. How's that going to happen? Well, if there's 1.5 million agents and I want 1%, just 1%, because 90% of the business is done by the top 10% of real estate professionals that does majority of the business. If I just have 1% of the top percent of the 10% that is 90% of the business, then literally that's going to be 15,000 agents. I just want 15,000 at the 899 at the middle plan, start, ramp, or scale. You're talking about 3.5 million a month and 161 million plus with a 3x multiple. I could sell the company for 300 million.
Exactly.
So that's how you specifically get to a point of interest, and then you could scale, you could grow, you could get investors, whatever the case may be. And I just want to give you all some enlightenment. Also, like, I could feel it because this is where I'm headed. This is where I want to go, and I'm so grateful to be able to have you and everyone who's watching to be able to get some enlightenment with that thought process.
What you just said is essentially how you get to $1 billion, because like once you have your $300 million exit, guess what? You reinvest $100 million maybe into
Hey, Wolf, where you at, bro? Let's go.
See, and then you're invested to, like I said, a bunch of different opportunities that are going to go IPO. And the idea is to work with a private equity firm that has experience with unicorns, which are companies that have been valued at 1 billion plus,
Boom.
right? Once they go public. So if you invest in those positions, then at that point you just like 8 to 12x your
Mm,
investment. And again, all it takes, and usually the average like timeline from private equity is 2 to 4 years.
really?
So even if you
Mm,
spend investing like for 10 to 15 years
yeah.
in private equity, and after you made $100 million exit, let's just
Mm,
say you're like 35, 36, 38 years old, by the time you're in your 50s, now you have like billions of dollars, and that's essentially how you got it. Otherwise, it's like, how are you going to sell yourself to $1 billion? You can't. Like, it's too much money. There's not a single person, at least that I know of, in the United States that has sold themselves to $1 billion. It's always like they
wow.
build a business, they sold it, and then they reinvested back into other businesses. That's how you do
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes. 100%, bro. Let's fucking go, dude. Yeah, we're already investing too because we have microplastic company and one of the agents that we work with, they came up with this concept where you can basically have a website and it could be anything. It could be investment, it could be dog treats, it could be whatever it is. You pick the segment, you just build a website, get an influencer, get an Amazon account, right? And then you just feed it a bunch of traffic with blogs and videos to the website, and then they buy all the fucking Amazon products. That's just micro, and then you could sell the company. And so we own a third of Microplex's company. Then the guy wants us to do like autistic things for autistic children because his son is autistic. So it just kind of happened by default that we're starting to diversify.
Yeah.
Not even trying, you know what I'm saying, which is crazy. Not to mention we do fix and flip. We have
Nice.
Airbnb. So my wife and I has an LLC. She has Reds NT. I have Liftoff Agent. I have Liftoff Experience. I have Real Estate First Technology. So we're expanding. I think it's like 7 different entities right now,
I love
and that's
that.
how it starts. You know what I'm saying? It's just little by little. So,
That's right. That's
but
right.
I'm curious because we just got off on a high note, dude. Like 20, 30 minutes in, just like boom, like fucking lift off. But let's rewind, dude. Like before all this shit, dude. Who are you? Where did you start? Like, is this like mom, dad in the space? Are you a cycle breaker? Like, how did you get to this point, dude?
Great question. So I am an immigrant from Barcelona.
I'm hearing the accent, bro. I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Barcelona. I was born and raised there for like 16 years, and I came here in 2013.
What do you think the difference between that to here is? It
Oh my God.
drastic?
Shit. Yeah, it's huge. In my opinion, it's such a different culture shock because you go from a European country that's very socialistic, that's very kind of like worker ant type of
Mm,
environment, which is beautiful. You have a bunch of different European countries that you can go at any point in time, but it's like it is such a different type of environment, and in all honesty, if you want to have a successful life, you don't really build it in Europe. You usually retire in Europe, right? So when I came here, things were a lot more fast paced, and which I like that, right? Because that's how you build a business. My dad was the only one. My dad was the only one to build a very successful business in Europe.
okay.
But the craziest thing is that his business was based on importing and exporting,
Interesting. Okay.
which essentially was like he was kind of like a consultant for businesses, and essentially he was getting paid to be able to sell certain products in other countries. So he
Nice.
didn't really work in Spain.
Okay.
You get what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like he had a lot of different European countries and clients that wanted to break into the Middle East, Saudi
Mm.
Arabia, the Emirates, Iran, and stuff like that. So essentially, he would bring those products. He would break into those markets.
Wow, dude. Shout out to Pops, dude. So it's kind of in your blood, then it sounds
Yeah,
like.
basically. So I basically grew up watching my dad just be the entrepreneur, be like hardworking, like
Yeah.
workhorse. And then when I came here to the United States, I was like, oh shit, well I got a unique opportunity to actually get to work as fast as possible. So I basically right at 16 when I was in high school, my goal was I didn't want to go to college. Like if I wanted to go to college, I had this stupid crazy idea. It's like, oh, I want to be like Iron Man. I'm gonna build like exosuit robots and it's so fucking stupid. And then Elon Musk beat me to it. Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
So I knew from a very early on, it's like I'm not going to be the academic, because my GPA was very low when I graduated, and I realized that I was also not stupid. It's just like I had no interest in academics.
Mm.
A lot of my knowledge comes from things that I have learned myself or that I have read, that of things that basically I have interest in. So I decided to go straight into the world of business. Started selling life insurance, when I was like 18, I think it was.
Mm.
And then, I haven't really looked back since.
Wow.
That is essentially what took me to this point. And, it's been 10 years of just like struggle after struggle after struggle, like win, 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 and then like lose, 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 lose.
Mm.
And most people don't know this, but like just like in the stock market, when you lose in the stock market, you don't have like you have to make back way more than what you lost in order to just break even.
Yes.
If you lose 20% of your money, you don't have to make back 20% to break even. You have to usually make back 38%
Yeah.
of what you have remaining. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like business is the same way. It's like just because you win big,
Mm.
the moment you start losing, you have to
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like really pick back up a lot more than you lost just to be able to get back above water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, man, the past 10 years has been a fantastic journey, and right
Wow.
now we're in a very, very, very good spot, man.
So why not go and do what your dad was doing? Why'd you go in a different direction?
It's very interesting because I kind of am doing a
You
little bit
are.
of what my dad was doing. I'm kind of transitioning to that space.
Okay.
But the reality of it is like my dad did have a couple degrees. My dad did have a lot of relationships that he built. So I realized it's like, okay, well, do I want to spend like 10, 15 years in college,
Mm-hmm.
to try to get a
Mm-hmm.
couple degrees like PhDs? No. Do
Mm.
I need to make money as soon as possible because I got to take care of my family and myself? Yes.
Yep.
So that's why I decided to go the sales route. Now, I started selling life insurance, and then after 2 years of being in that space, it started to shift and transition into more of like an advisory role.
Interesting.
So I didn't want to be known as the life insurance guy. I wanted to
Yeah.
be known more of an advisor, right? Not really a financial advisor, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, I didn't want to go through like all the schooling required to become certified financial advisor
Yes.
or a chartered financial planner. So I wanted to kind of still be in that position where I'm not giving like actual advice, but I'm
Yeah.
essentially just showing people different options that they have available, letting people choose it, and then also doing additional things that are going to be more outside of the norm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Like for example, the real estate in the real estate space. I don't sell real estate
Yeah.
or I don't like fix and flip real estate, but what I do is essentially I finance real estate. So
Mm.
what I ended up doing,
Like hard money.
yeah, basically either hard money or just bridge loans,
Okay.
construction loans, things of that nature. Because I started to make some relationships with some private lenders, and I realized that if I can act as a broker, and I can actually be a worthy broker, right? Because most people hate brokers because a lot of the times they just put people in a group chat and say take it from here, and then they
Yeah.
charge 1 to 2 points, right?
Yep.
But if I can be the broker of like, hey, let me understand your case right now, let me collect the documents that you need, let me go ahead and process the numbers, make sure that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the debt service ratio actually makes sense, and then let me go ahead and find a lender that will actually lend you the money at a good
Yeah.
interest rate. Then at that point, people feel like 1% off of that total loan is worth it because
Yeah.
this guy's already working for it,
Exactly.
right? So that's essentially what we've been doing, and then slowly started to transition more into the I don't want to say import and export of products, but for example, I'm getting into jet brokering and very unique supercar brokering as well too. Just to sourcing, like the jets or the supercars to
Yeah, yeah.
find the buyers, internationally. And there's like also a couple other things too that as far as like goods and supply chain type of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of having my hands in a lot of different pots, but my main bread and butter, my main business, the focus is to help people essentially secure their assets, grow their money, pay less in taxes, and lose less money so they can invest
Mm.
into other cash flowing assets to grow their financial portfolio.
I love that, dude. Let's freaking go, bro. So, in a sense, you're basically a middleman, and being a middleman, that's where the rubber meets the road.
That's
You're
right.
connecting those dots, and you're getting paid because you're solving a problem.
That's right.
And anyone that wants to start a business out there, you're just connecting dots from solving a problem. And I love that because I see your Instagram account down below. Check it out. Links are there. Pop up the Instagram page on the screen. I appreciate Rainith. I see the supercars. I see the lifestyle, and it's interesting because with technology, it's like your Instagram is your vision board of where you're going. You know what I'm saying? And I love that about the fact because I'm also I started a collection. I got two supercars in the garage. I'll show it to you afterwards.
Hell yeah.
And so I'm right there with you, bro. And I love that. And for me, cars are like it's an investment. I'd rather have a car sitting out there that gives me fucking pleasure to drive. And I just had like 17 supercars last weekend at the house. We do like an annual two annual events. One one in the spring and one in the fall. And so we did last Saturday, like 40 people here. It was a lot of fun, just bringing people together and sharing the dream, man. People see it and they light up, and you know how it goes, bro.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely,
there's
absolutely.
something about the energy behind it, you know what I'm saying, and the wherewithal for someone to put in that passion to be able to build something like whatever it is, a Wraith or if I can Lambo or pick whatever one you like,
And
you know.
GT3 RS, you know.
GT2, those are clean, those are quick, bro.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I love
I
those.
almost bought one last week.
Did
Almost,
you?
almost, man. But I had to practice restraint because again, I can't be teaching people how to like be smarter with their money and then go buy a $200,000 car just when I have other priorities
Yeah.
that proceed.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. Actually, before I got the one car I have is a GTR, and before I got that,
Whew.
my wife, she was a teacher. We came from California. We bought this house, the ugliest house in the nicest block. We had to do conventional because it was during COVID. And check out that cup. I had to get him the cup, dude. This guy here, man. Shit, I go to the gym with
Right.
this guy. And so we bought the house, got the house. Been working the past 5 years. She's a teacher. We got her finally to retire. Jordan, my daughter, who's 6, was in private school. Then she went into just public school, and then cash flow started to free up. And then it got to a point about 2 years ago where I'm like, honey, like, we're good. Like, you know, I think it's time. And the thing that I will say about supercars is that they do open doors you never knew you had the keys to open in the first place.
That's what my partner, my VP Mitch, always says. I'll be honest, like with the business, we did buy an R8.
Okay.
So
Those are dope.
and that does it's starting to open up a lot of doors. And he told me to, it's like, man, just get the Porsche. You know, it's gonna make us money. It's gonna open up doors and stuff like that. And I was like, I just like I can't, you know, I can't go against what I truly believe in.
Dude,
But
good for you, bro. That's
yeah.
sick.
But I do believe what you say though. It does open up a lot of doors.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to do what's best for you. I got to take care of my wife, take care of my daughter, get the
Amen.
house taken care of first. We started doing the fix and flip. We got 8 flips down, just mobile home, 55 plus. And now we're done with that just because the market's shit.
Yeah.
And we want more cash flow. So we're just do the Airbnb thing. It works out well.
Mm-hmm.
Travel trailer pays for itself, and then house hacking pays for a lot of the things around the house, whether it's the pool or the yard care or whatever, which is nice. And with the LLC, you can write things off, and so it works. It works. But I'm gonna have to, yeah, dude, let's go, because I know that. Do you know For You Media? They just got the Audi R8. They had a GTR, Sabrina and Jaden, and they bought a white GT3 RS. They got Media For You. They're over in Scottsdale as well, and they're using it all for like their media company and really just, you know, just lighting a fire under people to being like, you know, this is the shit and whatever else. But, you know, to each is your own. So what's the game plan before you get something like that? Like just to give some our audience, you know, perspective.
Of course, man. Well, so here's the thing. So I believe in like the first step, in my opinion, as a good financial planner, and also this is also a comment for you that you should also consider.
Yeah.
What I always recommend people is like to get a properly structured IUL, and the reason why we do that is because at that point you get to a point where you don't need the banks really.
Yep.
Whereas like the IUL, as long as it's been structured correctly and it's been max funded, you're able to essentially land it to against yourself. So I was checking a couple of our clients' statements, and again I gotta look at a lot of different statements, but the ones that I was looking at, I'm starting to see that a lot of clients are outpacing their illustrations, which is really good, because all that really means is that the numbers that we show to clients, what is actually happening is doing better than what we showed them.
Oh wow.
You know, so the reason why I say that is because what needs to happen for me specifically, you know, I've been having this IUL that I've been max funding, like I've been putting about $100,000 a year into it.
Okay.
The reason why I've been doing that is because I want to use my own policy. First of all, because I want to show people that it can actually be done, and it's not just a concept.
Proof in the pudding.
Exactly. I want to show people that like it's not something that you just see on TikTok, somebody like talking about it. Like it actually does work. And excuse me, we have a lot of clients that have utilized their policies for infinite banking purposes. But the idea is that I want to be able to use my policy where I can borrow my cash, and then I can go invest it into assisted living facility or like a rehab center, treatment center. Maybe I want to buy a CPA and accounting firm, or I want to invest into I don't know, like a laundromat or auto shop or some a business that's up for sale.
Cash flow.
Exactly, because I want to get the cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I do that over the next couple of years, I want to build that business up and I want to be able to resell it to a private equity firm that is looking at our EBITDAs and said, okay, your guys' EBITDAs are pretty healthy. Here's a check for like 2 to 3 times whatever the valuation is. And then from there, that's when essentially I can start investing into private equity. I can start investing into multifamily real estate developments. And then with the cash flow of those things, guess what? Now I already have a seasoned IUL policy that has, you know, a few $100,000 in there plus the interest, and then now I can borrow that money from that policy, buy the supercar, and I pay myself as if I'm the bank.
There you go. Let's go.
So that's why I'm kind of like taking it slow because, you know, it's like once success really starts to hit, I think the biggest fall or the biggest trap that people get into is like they start to, in my opinion, I think they start to enjoy their life too fast, and that's why a lot of the times it's like if there's no planning and you just believe that money's just gonna continuously come. That's what happens with a lot of like musicians, right?
Yeah.
As soon as they get a deal, like, you know, they start spending money in chains, cars, trips, houses, and all that stuff, and then a few years later, you know, they stop performing and they think that their music is going to pay their lifestyle, and it doesn't. You know, that's what J. Cole was talking about in one of his albums or whatever.
Okay.
He came out, was like, the moment you stop touring, that's when the money starts drying up. It's kind of like the same thing. I don't want to kind of get ahead of myself, think it's like, oh, just because I got it, you know, I'm going to go ahead and spend it. I want to be smart with it. I want to continue to reinvest it. I want to continue to grow my portfolio and let my assets pay my liabilities.
I love that, man. Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, we had on Real Estate First Technology, our other podcast, we had Mr. Burr on. Mr. Burr's well known as well, and he does a lot of the Burr method and Bank on You. There's a good book you could read, and I looked into it, and I was gonna fund it and go through the process. And my ideology is I'm gonna start making to a point, and I've been, you know, for liftoff and everything, year and a half, I'm going to be stepping back, working more, not in, but on for strategic partnerships and growth opportunities and what have you. And then once I get to a certain point, then I'm going to fund it. So I do have like term. My wife has an IUL. My daughter has an IUL. So she's good. When she turns like 18, she'll have a certain amount of lump sum that she could use to do what she wants. She can keep funding the policy and then use it when she wants to retire, what have you. The only thing for me that at this point in time, I was like, all right, I'm going to put $5,000 a month. And after putting $5,000 a month, it took me like, I want to say 90 days or something like that, or a certain amount of time for it to mature to even be able to pull anything out. And I was just going to put all my money into it and then just pay all my bills out of it. And it just, the timing, things didn't work. Just because you do need to pay it back. You don't have to, but it's advisable to pay back what you take out because it'll work against you, especially from the death benefit perspective. But I love the idea of the cash flowing part. So like, instead of like you saving money in your bank to buy a company, you put the money in this account and then it still accrues interest even when you take the money out. And then if it's cash flowing, then you can pay the money back. And like Mr. Bird talks about, he buys his cars that way, you know, and he's like his own bank and shit. So, but that's 100,000 a year, dude. Congratulations on fucking, that's huge, dude.
Thanks, man.
Damn.
Yeah. I just think it's just, again, it's important to be able to show that, like, yeah, bro, I'm not just telling you to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get a policy, right? It's like, I want to be able to show people, it's like, hey, like I'm telling you to do it because like I'm also doing it myself, you know. And I think too, it's important for people to realize is like this is not one of those like get rich quick schemes, right? Because like the one thing and again, this is no hate to like Mr. Burr or any like Chris Nagel and all these guys. I think these guys are phenomenal. They're fantastic and they're super knowledgeable about this stuff. The only caveat that I have with the infinite banking space with like whole life and all that is that they have like the very short mindset or like short-sightedness where it's like, hey, you need to have like all the lump sum for that year, like to be able to put it in there so that way you can immediately borrow it out. It's like of course, like that does work, and that is the actual term of infinite banking, right? But again, when it comes to whole life dividends and versus the cost, you're still paying a cost for it because the dividends don't perform as illustrated, which essentially means that there is still a cost attached to it. So it doesn't really work that way. Like the infinite banking side doesn't really work that way anymore. And on top of that too is like you're still again hitting that instant gratification type of like you know that instant gratification. And in my opinion, the way that I write my policies is that we're still cutting our commissions down by 70 to 90%, which essentially means that the client gets the majority of the cash value, right? And what I mean by that is like our goal is always to be able to have 90% of their premium go towards the cash value. right? At least since year one and onwards,
Got
right?
it.
So, and that's the way that it's supposed to build. And then the idea is that even though yes, you can borrow money year one, day one. The idea is to be able to set something aside that you can let it mature for about a year, 2 years, because that's when the really sweet spot really starts to happen. Because every single insurance policy, whether it's whole life or whether it's IUL, the most important years are the first few years.
To invest in.
Investing, correct.
Got it.
After that, then you can start to like veer down, right? If you want to start putting less money in there, great. But the idea is like if you put money into the policy and then you borrow it immediately, right? And then for some reason you don't pay it back, and then you don't max fund it the next year. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ways that the policy can go basically tits up. Right? So that's why for me, it's like, even though the clients are able to pull the money out of the policy, my discipline is always like, hey, just give it a year.
Yeah.
Let it grow, let it compound for a year, you know. And then during the second, third year, now if you want to start to like borrow a little bit of it and stuff, and I have clients that have done that, right? But it's and again, it's just I like to think of it as a conservative side. I don't like to over leverage myself. I don't like to take gigantic risks. So that's why I talk to people the way that I would talk to myself. Right,
Yeah.
where it's just like, hey, like I just want to make sure that if you have this policy, you do it the right way.
Yes. Yes. I love that, man. I think a big thing comes up for me is so Liftoff Agent sponsors the Liftoff Experience, and check them out. Real estate marketing support services for real estate professionals, is that they don't really think about what is after close process. Like there's so many things to think about from the perspective of, you help a buyer. Okay, fantastic. Now they have, they need pest control. They need maybe a house cleaner. They need someone for the pool. They may need ADT to protect the house. Or what about also IULs or some type of, protection for the family itself? And I think a lot of that doesn't even come about. And one thing that comes up for me, more of a strategic forefront from the perspective of reverse mortgages, how maybe someone who's older could potentially even use a reverse mortgage to fund a policy for a couple years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and that could be great for the death benefit. Could be great for even pulling out cash from it and then utilizing that equity. There's so many ways to go about to do
Absolutely. Yeah, and technically speaking, you can also use premium finance, which, I mean, listen, there's a lot of ways, like you said, right? And there's a lot of ways to kind of like not really cheat the system, but like use different loopholes that are allowable. Like, because I used to get a lot of people say, like, oh, what if I take a loan out and then pay my IUL premiums with that? I'm like, technically speaking, yeah, it could work, right? But it's like now you have a loan, you have debt. Right? Like you paid an asset with liability, and this asset is technically not going to break even with at least until year 3 to 5, right? And if you have a whole life policy, it's going to take you even a lot longer to break even, right? So, and by the way, that's one of the reasons why I like IUL over whole life. And again, I'm not here to shit talk whole life. I think whole life has its space in the marketplace, but in my opinion, if you want to have like dollar for dollar a policy that's going to break even sooner, that's going to make you more money, and that you're going to be able to borrow a little bit better in better terms, and the IUL is slightly superior than the whole life. But that's besides the point.
I love it.
Premium finance, again, is just that. It's like you're leveraging the bank's money to fund your IUL policy. But now your IUL policy has first position from the bank, which means that any cash value that you have, even if you do pass away before you are able to access the cash, the bank takes whatever premium they put in, plus whatever interest rate that they're charging.
Shit.
So again, on paper, premium finance makes a lot of sense for estate planning, because now you're essentially getting a bank or a banking institution that's funding your policy, again, for estate planning purposes, right? And again, and at that point, it's like it costs you less money out of your pocket to fund your policy, but there's a lot more restrictions, right?
Got
so again, there are a lot of ways you can use you're able to use a reverse mortgage, and again, a lot of different stuff. Nationwide, for example, allows you to pay your premium with a credit card, so you can get the points. There's a lot of ways to do it, but again, I like to think it's like, look, how is this going to pan out in a year or two, right? If I'm going to sit down with you, right, and you become my client, like in 2 to 3 years when we talk again, or we're doing our annual reviews, how is the conversation going to be? It's like, what are the chances of us having an awkward conversation, right? Where it's like either your policy didn't perform, or maybe you raked up a lot of debt, or maybe like you underfunded. Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm always trying to reduce the amount of awkward conversations because I'm genuinely trying to make sure that every single experience, every single client is better. Because that way, if the policy ends up performing the way that it's supposed to, and you've been max funding it, you're most likely going to outperform the illustration, which essentially means that now, whenever it's time for you to access the cash value, now you and I can partner up to go buy a business. And essentially now we own an asset together that's going to make us the money, right? So that's essentially the mindset that I have.
Ooh, that's exactly what I'm talking about. If you're out there and you're in real estate, my man over here is maximizing the opportunity going. Now it's becoming clear in regards to like, okay, let's get you your IOL. Let's get you to a point where you have the cash value so then you can potentially become an accredited investor, work with the man, and then you also are already foreshadowing businesses that you want to buy and where you want to go. So now I was going to ask you, but I don't even have to ask him. I now see how you're going to get to $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, and by the way, I can't take credit for this. My boy Andrew Ornosky. Did you come to the Freedom Funders? I think I saw you there, no?
No,
Yeah,
I
you
wish,
did.
no. I was there in spirit, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know why I thought I did. Anyways,
You're good.
but yeah, my business partner Andrew, he's one of our strategic partners. He owns Good Merger, or he's a partner at Good Merger. He's the guy that does mergers and acquisitions,
Okay.
and he essentially taught me this. Is like, listen, like we structure a lot of our deals
Mm.
first of all using seller financing, because if you can avoid taking money from the banks and just financing it through the actual seller, then much better, right? But
Yeah.
then secondly, like, how do we take our fees, right? You could take a 1% fee upon transaction, but what if you take an equity position on the business, like 5 to
Ooh.
10% equity, just for helping them be able to get everything set up? That means that once they do sell the business, now you make a lot more money because you've taken a much higher percentage in equity, which means that the client pays less money up front, right? And then upon that exit, now you make a lot more money. And then I was like, holy shit, dude, that's absolutely genius. Because if you have, let's just say, 100 clients that you've onboarded to be your clients to go essentially purchase these businesses, that you take 5% equity on every single one of these businesses as they continuously sell, your revenue continues to increase because you end up making a lot more money. Or even if they don't sell, you're taking equity on those businesses.
Yep.
Do you get what I'm
Yep.
saying? So that's essentially my goal, is that my goal is to be able to help people get to a point where they become accredited investors, because we can make money together by partnering up and purchasing these businesses and selling them to the big private equity firms, and then reinvest into IPO opportunities, pre-IPO opportunities.
Dude, we talk about lift off, bro. Let's go. Lift off, dude. Like, that is dope. And it's cool because at the end of the day, like, you're growing, they're growing, we're all growing at the same time. And that's exactly essentially what I did with this microplastic company that I own, or should I say, lift off agent. My partner and I have 50% in that company, own a third of the company. The only way we got to own a third of the company is because we built the website, we're managing things on the back end, and like, we didn't have to make any investment for money per se, but we are bartering. And when the money does come into fruition, then here we are, we're good to go. Just like I met with another individual yesterday who has kind of like, Joe Rogan talks about this alpha brain, this guy that I'm talking to,
Nice.
he's going to be on the show. He has something similar like it,
Love
but,
that.
it's different. And I just got some products that some people gave me. I was like, oh, check this out, give us a review, whatever. And it's all right, cool, whatever. And so now I'm just going to kind of like consult with him. And then potentially with the consulting, then he wants to send us referrals with lift off agent. There's who knows what can happen. And there's an opportunity to potentially be an investor without needing to specifically needing to invest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand where you're coming from. For anyone out there, it might be a tough pill to swallow to be like, put your fucking tail between your legs, check your ego, put all your money into something and invest for 5, 10, 15 years. Easier said than done, but way better than being 65, 70 years
Yeah.
old and being like, fuck.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you this, man. I do have like every once in a while, I do have like 1 or 2 clients that kind of just, again, they stop funding their policy. They veer off completely from the plan, and that is the number one way to have a policy go sideways. And like, listen, 90% of IUL policies are structured incorrectly.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? It's like a lot of these agents, they say the right things. And if you as a client have no idea how the policies work internally,
Yeah.
you got a policy, you're putting money in there, and
Yeah.
you just trust that the agent did the right thing.
Yeah.
But 90% of policies are structured incorrectly, right? So if you have the luck to work with someone who knows how to structure the policies correctly, that they've purposely cut their commissions by 70 to 90%, now it is your duty to
Mm.
actually fund the policy. If you don't put any money into the policy, as a matter of fact, it doesn't matter. If you don't put any money anywhere, it's not going to grow. Whether you have a 401k, whether you have an IRA, whether you have like stocks, whether you have money in the mattress, it doesn't freaking matter. If you don't put any money, it's not going to grow anything.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So my only caveat that I have with this, and it is kind of frustrating sometimes because it's like we spend a lot of time in the education. We spend a lot of time in the illustrations and showing
Yeah.
people what that looks like. So that way they
Hmm.
know what to expect. And we make it very known as like, listen, this is going to be a short-term leverage vehicle with long-term performance.
Yeah.
Don't expect to hit home runs right off the bat.
Hmm.
Right? Because the policies are structured specifically for the long-term performance, but with the short-term leverage.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, people like 6 months in, they like reduce their premiums drastically because oh, my policy is not growing. Listen, it takes time for something to grow, and a lot of these policies are based on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, after 6 months, you're not going to see your policy grow because
Yeah.
the segment maturity hasn't really happened.
Hmm.
You haven't seen any interest credits come into the policy because it hasn't even been a full year yet. So that's the biggest problem. That's why I don't like working with younger people because I have yet still to have anybody that's under 25 kind of come in and like prove me wrong. I have maybe a couple of people that I would say with one hand to be able to count that, but most 25-year-olds and under, they have that short-sightedness of like, oh man, if I'm not making like 17 million% per day, I don't want to invest into it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's my biggest qualms that I have with that. It's like, man, I just wish, I just wish I could instill the same disciplines that I have when it comes to money to
Yeah.
other people, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, I understood that, like, yes, I want the Porsche right away. But there's a couple things that I need to do first before I do that, because then I can
Yes.
actually enjoy the Porsche for the rest of my life instead of enjoying it for a couple of years and then it gets repoed. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, 100%. I love that. And I think that the biggest thing is going a little deeper on the psychology from the perspective of just the masses, like the power that be, whatever, the different ways we've been kind of indoctrinated, if you will, right? Everyone wants fast, quick dopamine hits, and it's not till you slow down and understand that, like, it's okay. Like, wait, take the time necessary. I mean, we have people in our family where I'm just like, man, what are you gonna do? I mean, you're talking like nothing. No 401k, can't use the government, whatever, Social Security, nothing, and then hitting me up like, hey, I need a handout. And I'm like, oh, I love you so much. And and it is what it is. And so hopefully you're seeing this, take it to the grain of salt. Like, there is no, I don't believe in acquaintance. I don't believe in like, this was just happened at random. Like, I believe everything happens for a reason, and life happens for us for a reason, not to us. Like, oh my God, I got a ticket. This happened to me. No, it didn't happen to you. It happened for you to slow down because you're driving too fucking fast. You're about to kill someone, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like, you being here on the show, and this is like one of the first that we've had on the show in this space, going deeper into financial literacy and talking about,
Very
you're all
honored.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate
Thank you,
you.
bro.
And I just love the energy. I love what you're about, love what you're doing. And, a little selfish too. You know what I'm saying? I like to have undivided one-on-one attention. And this is a good opportunity to slow the fuck down for a second, have a communication, share it with someone out there, bring it to my personal residence, introduce you to my family. No bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Love
Like,
that.
man to man, let's have a cool conversation.
I love that, man. You can tell we're spitting fire just because I'm sweating right
He's
now.
on fire, dude. Damn. Hold on. Let me go on this turn down this air. It's starting to get hot in Arizona too right now.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's also me too. Like, I always run hot, and then these shirts are like very. I wanted to wear my the classic purple shirt that a lot of people have seen in another podcast, but the problem is like they bleed very easily. It's kind of like wearing gray clothes. You know what I'm saying?
We turned it down.
Yes. Oh man. Anyways,
We got you, bro. We
That
got
is the
you.
embarrassing moment of the day. You know.
It's good. It's good. Here we go. A little.
That's right. I just like to address it, before anybody like on the comments. Oh my God, he's so sweaty.
Why are you so fucking sweaty for? This guy's full of testosterone. We're about to get a lift off in the gym after our podcast.
That's right.
Dude, I fucking love it, man. I love it. So I love the fact that you have the vision for $1 billion. I love the fact that you're serving, supporting, and helping people, and you're going deeper in that process. And so when you think about like, what's the biggest thing you come across when it comes to speaking to an individual to try to give them the opportunity and there's resistance?
I think a lot of the resistance comes from the lack of knowledge, right? So I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, like I want to do a little bit more research and I want to look a little bit more into it."
Talk
And
to my
listen,
wife. No.
yeah, well, to be honest with you, I don't really get a lot of like, oops, I don't really
Good.
get a lot of objections of like, "Oh, I need to talk to my wife or whatever,"
Okay. Okay.
because I usually like to, excuse me, I like to have the meetings like together, right? Like with
Yeah.
the husband and the wife, but. I'm not the type of guy that I'm gonna pressure the sale, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't need the sale.
Mm-mm.
Right. My mindset is more of like, hey, like the only reason we're having this conversation is because I truly believe I have something of value and then
Yeah.
you need this more than I do.
Yeah.
So the type of conversations that I have a lot of people initially is very educational. So
Mm.
very rarely I get any sort of resistance because I'm not trying to close on the first day,
Mm.
to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I preface it like right off the bat as like, hey, listen, Mr. Client, like I'm not here to try to like close you. There's not going to be any type of financial transaction that's
Yeah.
happening today. I just want to get to know you a little bit better. I want to be able to make sure that I give you the right information. And at the end of the day, like it's your choice.
Yeah.
If this is a good fit for you, it's absolutely your choice. 90% of the time, 90% of the times, people end up making that choice.
Mm.
That it's like, you know what, like this is something that I do want.
Yeah.
Now let's just figure out the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the only times that I get like a lot of pushback, it's usually from either younger people under 25, right?
Mm.
That just, they want to do a little bit more research. They want to talk a little bit to like wealthier people, et cetera, whatever. And it's fine. You know, like no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
They want to
Exactly.
talk to other people and find other opportunities by all means.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that is just people that have the wrong type of information, right?
Mm.
Let's just say they listen to Dave Ramsey or they listen to a lot of these TikTok gurus that are just spewing a lot of misinformation when it comes to IUL or
Yeah.
cash value life insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it. And granted, I will give them this. The type of conversations that people are having on TikTok and Twitter or whatever, when they talk negatively about IULs, they do have at least something to stand on because the policies that they do talk about have been structured incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, because I know it sounds like a lot of people talk about, oh, it has to be properly structured. What does that even mean? In the basis of it, the way to structure a policy correctly is that the agent has to purposely cut his or her commission down by 70 to 90%.
Interesting.
So, and by the way, like the agents know how to do that.
Yeah.
So if your policy has a high cost or your policy hasn't grown that much or you literally don't have 90% of your cash value, like 90% of the money that you put in there, if you don't have at least 90% or somewhere close to that inside of your cash value after 1 year, two things that happened. Either policy has been structured for maximum commission for the agent, you got fucked, or you just didn't stick to the plan and then you didn't put enough money into it. Most likely it's going to be the first one, that the agent
Interesting.
essentially structured it the wrong way.
Oh man. Hey, y'all heard it here first. Be careful with the way you put money in and how you structure it. And after someone invests and they go through that procedure after the first year, let's hypothetically say they put $5,000 a month in. What would you say that looks like after 12 months in regards to what would the policy look like? Just kind of get a little bit
I would say if somebody's putting $5,000 a month into a policy, the goal is always to have at least like, I'd say about like 55,000 at least in cash value, and depending on carriers, right? Because again, it's going to be give or take, and also depends on the market performance and all that stuff, age and risk class. But on average, the math usually pans out like this: that we want 90% of that premium. So if you put 5,000 a month, I think that's like 60,000 a year. So you should have around $54,000 to $55,000 inside of your actual cash value. Now, depending on carriers, you'll have a little bit better liquidity. Some carriers will give you 20% liquidity. Some carriers will give you 50% liquidity, right?
Interesting.
So it depends on when you want to borrow money. In the first year, you will either have like $10,000 to $15,000 available that you can borrow, or you'll have about $25,000 to $30,000 available to borrow in the first year.
Got it.
Right. And then, yeah, so that's at least on the first year. And if you have a policy that looks like that, then in my opinion, you're on the right path.
I love that. Let's go. Just so you, hey, got to have the right information so you know what's up. And so kind of going into a different segment now, I'm curious about more like you, like how does your like health play into all of this? Or, and are you, do you have faith in your life to like play into all this as you grow and scale? Because, you're helping people out. And I feel like, outside just the fitness side, I know the faith side, just being a good person because you care, right? And legacy is not the amount of money you have or the money you leave for your family. It's the way you show up for people. It's the way people like remember the way that you showed up for them and didn't have to. And it's like when they're sitting there saying, "Man, Wolf," and there's like this guy was, so like how does that play in as far as we'll start with faith and then fitness after?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me when it comes to my faith, so I don't treat people like I don't treat people well because I'm like this super great human being.
Okay.
Right?
All
Like
right. All right. All right.
the reason why I treat people with kindness, the reason why I treat people well, or I try my best to do so, is because my faith is in Jesus Christ, and like
Amen.
Christ has changed my life in a lot of ways, and has taught me a lot of patience, has taught me a lot of grace, has taught me a lot of forgiveness. And the reality of it is, and I talk about this sometimes, excuse me, to the people that want to listen to me, right? I talk about this and I say, like, well, the reality of it is, what was fair was
Mm.
for each and every one of us to be on that cross,
Mm.
right? But because we are not on that cross, and because Jesus took that mantle to actually take that sacrifice on that cross, that's the reason why, like, how can I be evil to someone?
Mm.
How can I lack integrity to someone when I realize that God has been the most merciful being towards me,
Mm.
even though I didn't deserve it, even though I can never be perfect, even though I'm always going to make a mistake. God still chose to sacrifice himself on that cross. And the craziest thing is that he knew exactly who he was dying for.
Mm.
He knew exactly who you are. He knows exactly who you are and what you're going to do. And he still chose willingly, because that's what he did say. He says, like, my life, I give it out of my own free will. He was never forced to do this, because he could have denied it. He could have
Mm.
denied being the son of God. He could have denied being God himself at
Mm-hmm.
any point in time, and he never did it. So he gave his life out of his own free will. So to me, it's one of those things. It's like the only like all of my gifts, all of the goodness that comes, all of the goodness that people see in me, it doesn't really come from me. It really comes from God, and I want people to really understand that me in the base core level of a human being as I am as wretched as it comes. I am as filthy as it comes. I'm the worst sinner of them all, right? The king of sinners. And because of that, that's where I found a lot of grace and a lot of humility in God, in the way that he saved me, in the way that he's actually treated me in my entire life, the way that he's blessed me. That it's like, I I don't treat people just because I want them to accept me. I don't treat people right because I want them to accept me. I want them to see, look, oh my God, he's such a nice person. To be honest with you, is like, I just don't want to disappoint my father. When I say
Oof.
about that, I don't want to disappoint God. And
Damn.
so that's that, man. I honestly, because at the end of the day, like, you're my brother in Christ, right? You're also one of
Amen.
God's children. So like, I don't ever want to get to the point where it's like God is disappointed in me because I chose to fulfill my own needs and desires before making sure that you're okay.
Ooh, let's go. That's what's up, dude. And that's why I was curious because at the end of the day, like, I feel like people, yeah, they buy from someone they know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're adding a lot of value here by giving knowledge. And let's go deeper in the subject of like, and remind people, like you just did beautifully. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if someone's going to be an example like that for all of us, can't we not be an example in his eyes? You know what I'm saying? And so I love that about you, bro. And I love that you're serving, supporting, and helping people from that perspective because, that's what it's about, man. I feel like more people in life, going deeper into this It's like, dude, we all deserve to fucking life by design, get to enjoy our lives and do what we want to do and have fun and everything else. And I love that you were honest. Like, hey, I'm not fucking perfect, dude. You know, I do shit wrong and, you know, I sin and whatever, but at least you're 100% open and honest and being forthright about it instead of it like, you know, hiding like you're someone that you're not.
Yeah.
And that's why I love having true, authentic people on the show. And there was something about you that I was like, all right, let's get this guy on. I think
Appreciate that.
I think he's a good dude. You know what I mean? Deep down, because there's a lot of like, you know, glitz and glam out there, and that's where like the podcast is all about the fucking, oh, it's the punchline, oh, it's the viral hook, oh, it's that segment that's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? And so, and for this opportunity, it's like let's be raw, let's be real, let's be
Yeah.
authentic.
I agree with you, man, on that. And it's one of those things that for me, I just the worst thing that I can be is unauthentic because I understand there's a lot of rah bullshit out there,
Mm.
and for me, again, man, I'm far from perfect. In my opinion, there's a lot of things that I get wrong in life, and I'm by no means the most successful, the most perfect being here. And just I'm not here just talking to people, but like, oh, listen, you got to work with me because like I'm this superhuman person that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
never gonna be
yeah.
able to achieve. Like honestly, man, like I could be completely wrong about everything. You know, at the end of the day, it's like I genuinely want to see people win, and I want to do it together with people. That's why, like, when I get a client that is essentially like veering off track and all that, the number one thing I say is like, oh my God, did I do anything wrong? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
was it my fault? Is it something that I didn't do right? And it's difficult, man, because
Yeah.
as a man, like I truly cannot understand what it feels like to what it feels like to take money from people in a way that just it self fulfills you.
Mm.
And it's like I just don't ever want to give people the doubt that I would be that way.
Yeah. Amen. 100%.
You
And
know?
and the fact that you're going deeper, because this is the thing, like, you know, back to the segment we were talking about with the whole IULs and what have you, like life insurance, term, IUL, whole, like, you know, there originally it was a death benefit. You pay in for your death benefit when you die, so you can leave something for your family, for the funeral or debts or whatever. And now there's this like reverse psychology, which you guys are doing. And there's a lot of people out there that are doing it, but not doing it in a manner where I think you're doing it in a way that then you're offering opportunities and you're showcasing the possibility of what could happen in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. If this, then that. So we can get you to a credit investor and we can do other things together. And by the time you get to 10, 15, 20 years, this man's going to be like, let me open my portfolio.
That's right.
Where do you want to invest? You want,
That's exactly right.
you know, and I already see that. So, and this is more than a podcast and an experience. And I like to take people down this journey to show you all as you are listening and starting to envision what this is going to look like. We're manifesting your fucking future right now in front of the audience. And then when you come back on, we're going to be able to say, damn, where's Wolf now? What happened? How's your portfolio? What do you got going on? How's your clients doing? What's some success stories from your clients that invested with you? You know what I'm saying? So individuals could see that, like, you know, we're fucking lifting off, bro.
Amen, man. Dude, one of my biggest goals is I would like to put together like a award ceremony for all my clients. You know,
Ooh,
like just kind
let's
of like
go.
showcasing a lot of their successes, right? Like, hey, this person did this much, you know, and like,
Yeah.
or this person was able to invest into this, or this
Yeah.
person used their policy because of this. Like, that's what I want to get to the point. But obviously, again, things like that do take time.
It takes time.
You know, because the problem with today's society, especially social media, is like it kind of gives us the wrong idea of like things happen way too fast. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And it's like a lot of it's I posted something today that it says like a pine tree like grows extremely fast, but an oak tree takes a long time
Yeah.
to grow and mature.
Yeah.
But the oak tree will outlast the pine tree by a lot. Right? So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, and this also goes for people that are 24, 25, 28, 30 years old,
Yeah.
that they think that they have to have everything figured out.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
Nah.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
It
And
takes a
I would
long
say
time.
feed into that shit. If you don't have everything figured out, that's dope. My daughter, she's 6 and 5.5. She's like, I know everything. I said, honey, I said, okay, you know everything. I said, check it out. If you know everything, then life would be pretty fucking boring
100%.
because then there's nothing else to learn. And if you're 5 years old and you're going to live 80, 90, 100, whatever amount of time, you're going to want to learn things. And if you're not learning, you're dying at the end of the day. And that's where I feel like, taking the time necessary, it's like old money and new money.
Yes.
If you got old money and you grew up in it, it's almost like boom, you already had that shit. And you have a different ego's big, right? Ego's big, look at me. You know what I'm saying? And then you have
Yes,
new money, then you're like, you have a different found of respect because you took the fucking time to get it and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I feel like there's something about the appreciation, and that's what I'm working on with my daughter. And I
Nice.
take her to the Philippines and I show her how people live out there and how it's different.
Wow.
Almost like it's basically a third world country.
Wow.
And so she can get that contrast because she, like me, I grew up with nothing. I'm a cycle breaker. My wife, same with her.
Same.
Same with you. And so we're seeing things differently than what she's seeing, which who knows what side of the fence you're on right now. And are you coming from money? Are you a cycle breaker? Comment down below. We want to know. Make this interactive here. And it makes such a big difference, dude. Such a big difference. When I took the 10 years to get the GTR, bro, and like even when I talk to people, like, did you get it? Like, how long did it take you to get it? When I say 10 years, they're like, oh, congratulations. Yeah. And then I had one guy say, oh, if you told me you would have got it in a year or two, I'd have been like, eh.
Yeah, man. It's funny because like the first car I ever got in when I came here 12 years ago was a 1966 Ford Mustang. My dream car, right? And
I had a 72 Chevelle, bro. Got that Chevy bow tie.
nice,
I'm your
nice.
rival, bro.
So yeah, man, like I got that car and
Yeah.
then I had to resell it,
shit.
literally 5 days later because the engine was needed to be rebuilt and all that stuff. And again, that was the first lesson I ever learned here in the United States about restraint and delayed gratification. And guess what? 10 years later, literally 2 years ago, I ended up buying a 1965 Ford Mustang.
Let's go.
That I'm gonna be doing a resto mod on.
Good dude. Good for you, bro.
So-
I love that for you, man. That's what's up, dude. Yeah, I had a 1972 Chevelle Malibu in high school, bro. And man, it's an experience. I can't take it back, but I will say, like, y'all, if you're listening to this shit and you're young, I know it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow. Don't get it. Just don't get it. I spent so much money on that car, dude, and it was badass when I got it done, almost 100% done, and still then an ex drove it, blew the motor. It's just like, and it's never ending story, bro.
Yeah, man. That's why.
Never ending.
That's why to me, man. I'm trying to teach my brother that too, because like he's 18, he's working right now, and he wants to buy a Toyota 86, right? Which is basically like I think it's like a Scion FRS or a Subaru BRZ or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a sports car, right?
Yeah.
But it's like a $35,000 car, something like $30,000 car, right? But he's 18, dude. I'm like, bro, like just you don't need that shit. Like just honestly get a Honda Civic or get like a Corolla or something that's just gonna get you from point A to point B, man. And I wish I would have listened to it because after I sold my Mustang, I bought it for $6,000. Okay, and I sold it for $2,200. Yeah, and then what I ended up doing is I bought a $700 1995 Camry.
Dude.
And I'm telling you, man, if I would have done that from the very beginning, I would have at least had $5,300 saved in my bank account that I could have essentially just saved for later.
Yeah, 100%. Or a car that you could have had for like 10, 11 years if you got something for $6,000 that was a Honda.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's why I ended up going with the GTR, because the GTR was like, I'm not going to go into that until I have like, I need a lift, I want tools before I get back into like a 72 and I want to do like a old school, new school resto mod. Kind of, I can imagine what you want to do. And
man, it's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that for you, bro. I can't wait we'll have to do a little something. I'm on YouTube too, so we'll have to
Hell yeah,
get a little video
absolutely.
vlog or something, bro. Like
Absolutely.
I just did a vlog of the last week's whole event too as well. But hey, the GTR is a Nissan. It's a Nissan, bro.
Hey, no, those cars are like, it's a funny story. So my
What you got?
my girl Shima, she had an R34 Skyline.
Oh shit! Shout out, bro. Let's go.
Right.
Let's go.
But her brother took it to the mechanic to do like an oil change or something like that, and then he picked it up, and the mechanic forgot to put any oil in it. So
What?
so the engine blew up. So they blew the engine and it was they had to get rid of it. So that was like a $70,000 engine.
And they didn't take responsibility or nothing?
Because it was,
Wow.
It was a friend mechanic.
Fuck that.
So
Don't
yeah,
use friends. Do not use friends. And that's the
right,
thing too when it comes to like supercars, like those cars come with a lot of
100.
responsibility.
percent
That's what I'm saying. Even with your brother, if your brother's reaching watching this, hey, shout out to little bro, like, you know, it comes with a lot of responsibility. I fucking totaled my little Scion that I had back in the day and shit. Like it's, you know, and just take it for what it is. You gotta build up, especially in Arizona, bro. The car
Yeah.
scene out here is fucking tough. There's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of people out here with cars. And so you get like crazy at a light and you know, and it's monsoon season.
Oh yeah.
You fucking wrapping that shit around something real quick. No.
Yeah. It's tough, man.
It is tough for sure, man. I love that. I love that we're on the same page with cars. I checked out your Instagram. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
We could definitely talk some cars for sure, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I freaking love that. I love that. So how do you feel about fitness? What do you think about fitness?
So I used to be 400 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So I do a lot of intermittent fasting. I got a little bit of weight right now. You know,
It's
people can
good
see,
though.
right? But yeah. So I went from being 400 pounds to like the leanest I ever got was like 255.
Wow, dude. Congrats.
And right now I'm like sitting at like 265. And you know, I'll be honest with you, I make excuses. Like I'll be honest with people. Is like I'm not perfect, and that's also one of the reasons
Yeah.
why. It's like I make excuses because I'm like, oh, I'm busy. I got these events, and I got this and that. And it's like the reality is like one of my really good friends, Dylan Warder, who's actually that's actually one of the coaches that I would pay for, and I am paying for.
Really?
Somebody, yes, he's someone who is teaching me a lot of things that I don't know. Like for example, like habit stacking and keeping agreements and actually staying accountable. You know,
I
like
love
and
that.
he's a phenomenal man, and he's someone that any man out there that just wants to essentially find a way to again keep your agreements and find an environment that you can actually stay accountable and being with someone who does the work and helps you to do the actual work that is quantifiable.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Dylan Warder is actually one of those guys. And anyways, but he basically kind of just called me off on it. Like he called me out on it. It's like, hey, bro, like I get it, you're busy and all that stuff, but like there's people that are busier than you that still make it happen. So like, what's going on, right? So I started to make a commitment that no matter what, I'm gonna get into some sort of movement every day.
Let's go.
Whether it's I go on a 20-minute walk or 40-minute walk, or I go do jujitsu or like MMA and stuff, which is what I started to doing a lot more, or I get into the gym.
Okay.
Or even if I'm traveling, for example, and there's a layover, guess what? I'm gonna bust out like 50 to 100 push-ups.
Let's go. You're just sitting there anyways.
That's it.
Let's
Exactly.
go.
It doesn't matter. Like no matter where I'm at, like I need to do some sort of movement. Why? Because that just trains my body and my mind to like no excuses. Like I'm gonna do some sort of movement.
Yes.
Right. Now, the other thing that I need to get back on is on my diet. You know, that's the one thing is like, because back when I used to do intermittent fasting and I was doing a carnivore diet, that's when I got the leanest and I felt the best. You know, I'm not really here endorsing carnivore diet because I know like, you know, there's a lot of research that goes into it, but for me, it worked. Maybe, maybe like animal based diet or something like that, it would be better. But in other words, like to me, 100%, I'll tell you this, that every time I've been very active, physically active, and I've really cared about my health, I'll tell you this, it helps so much when it comes to my mindset. It helps me so much when it comes to my mental health. You know, because again, when you look better, you feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Amen. 100%, dude. I love that for you. And that's why I asked you the question, because at the end of the day, you know, they're all intertwined. You know, the spiritual side, the physical health side, the business side, and then this. I feel like the spiritual and the physical is more linked to the mental, which then ties into the business than anything. And that's where I feel like people really slip up. And yeah, I think that that's a good thing to say. You know, shout out to Coach out there. Like, you know, if y'all need some accountability, I think that's really important because some people need that. You know, and then for me, like I've been fucking working out since forever, bro. I'm like a 5 day, sometimes 6 days a week type of guy. And then I just got my fitness. I got my fitness pal. I track all my calories. I'm 2,100 calories. And then I
2,500.
2,500. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're almost at mine at a deficit is 19, so I'm a little higher. So I'm almost there because my problem is cardio. I got to do more cardio. So I'm actually because I fucking no time, right? Fucking make it because I'm at the gym doing the weights and all the shit. But I'm doing like the cold plunge, I'm doing the infrared, I'm doing all the shit. I'm gonna get a little underneath here, like a small little treadmill and just fucking walk, bro.
Nice, yeah.
As I'm working, I talked to my partner this morning about it. We have our check-in on Fridays. Like Smith, I just need to get like a little treadmill because I was talking to, so we do check-ins every month. I talk to every single one of our team members for 30 minutes. 'Cause I feel like the CEO, whoever's the helm of your business, should be talking to you right? And checking in on you and checking in on the business and seeing what's going on and put the finger on the pulse. And so I'm gonna get that. I'm just fucking getting
Hell
my
yeah.
45 minutes a day, bro.
Hell yeah, man.
Get
I
cut
agree.
up.
I agree. I think that's a great idea. I think it's something yeah, a lot of people need to do more of, and I need to do more of it as well too. I need to lock in better with when it comes to diet, because again, I'm telling you, like, this past couple of weeks, the past couple of months have been pretty intense for me when it comes to like the business. I mean, we've had a lot of success, but then again, I have to get back into it.
Yeah.
I have to keep my agreements, and even though I am very active, again, you cannot outwork a diet. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much
No.
speaking, you look at my output and it's absolutely insane, because like every day I try to go to my dojo, like Flow MMA. Shout out Flow MMA, Derek
Let's
Flores.
go.
He just opened an MMA gym.
Congrats.
So I'm there like quite literally like 4 times a week,
Nice.
right? So again, I'm doing jujitsu, striking, mixed martial arts, Muay Thai,
That's what's up.
right? So again, those do burn a lot of calories, right? And even though I also go to the gym like on these sporadic days and I do walk, there's a reason why I don't see any movement on that needle, and it's because my diet's shit, and I don't have any problems admitting that, but it's something that, again, when it comes to habit stacking, when it comes to like doing the things that you told yourself that you're gonna do, and by the way, it all translates to anything.
Yes.
It's not just finance, but it also translates to your day to day life. If you
Yeah.
say you're gonna do something, then just
Mm-hmm.
keep your agreements,
Just get it done.
no matter what happens.
Amen. 100%. I love that. Are you keeping your agreements? Where are you at out there? At the end of the day. And that's why I believe in this, man. I know he's going to hit the billion, and this all ties into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I'm just
Amen.
tying into this shit because
All glory to God, man. All
you know what
glory
I mean? Amen, bro. And that's where I feel like, I look at my, my form's off. Okay. I don't want to think of what I'm working out. Okay, cool. I got I got fucking Fitbod. It's an AI app and it tells me exactly what I need to do. Okay, boom. That solves that fucking problem. Okay, I'm not getting enough cardio. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get a little treadmill on my desk and work and get that. Okay, cool. I got that done. Luckily you got to find a good partner out there, because my wife, her and I are both on the same page when it comes to that shit. So we're both tracking calories, going to the gym 3 days a week together, which helps also to have someone who's fucking truly just, there for you and to win it. Because you got a partner, right?
I do.
Is she very supportive with you too?
She's absolutely amazing. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Ooh, let's go. Shout out.
Absolutely. Yeah. She's very supportive of everything I do. She holds me accountable in a lot of ways. Yeah, no, I'm extremely thankful. My life has gone better since she's been in my life.
That's awesome, man. So newer, how long have you been together for?
About a year now, almost
Yeah?
a year. In 1 month, it's going to be about a year.
Same industry or just different?
No, she's in personal injury.
No shit.
Yeah. So she's been in the personal injury law for about a decade now, and
Wow.
she's currently right now she's running what's it called, a neurology clinic.
No shit.
Neurology clinic called Neuro One. Quick little plug. They do
Good.
mobile testing for TBIs, and which are the traumatic brain injuries, and
Yeah.
yeah, they've been growing like crazy.
Wow.
In Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. So
What's up?
yeah, they're absolutely amazing, and she's an absolute beast. She's been running the Arizona branch like very, very well.
That's huge, man. I'll tell you what, anyone who's single out there, you're gonna find yourself a real one, because then
Absolutely.
it inspires you, does it not?
Yes, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? You see that, you're like, damn, I gotta push harder now.
That's
Fuck.
right, because as a man, you want to be a provider, and the beautiful thing about her is, like, I'll tell you this, is like she doesn't really be asking me for anything. It's
Really?
like, yeah, and she kind of almost she's almost like very, like, hey, like you don't need to spoil me or whatever. You don't need to do this or that. Like, I got it, right? But it's like the fact that she's very gentle with it, the fact that she doesn't really expect it. It's like it makes me want to provide more. And I don't know if she's doing that on purpose or not, right?
Reverse psychology
Maybe
and
she's
shit.
doing that reverse psychology. No, but honestly speaking, I really do believe she's a sweetheart, and she doesn't need me, but she chooses me, right? And because that's the case, because she does choose me every day, it makes me want to even go harder. It makes me want to be able to also choose her and be able to provide. And the thing is like when you find the right partner as a man, that whole red pill thing, I was like, oh, like, why are you gonna pay the bills? I'm like, you 50-50. Like, all that shit goes out the fucking window once you find the right person for you that makes you want to provide for her. Because as a man, our role is to provide. The problem that's happening is that a lot of these men also are finding women that are not worth providing for, because social media has also fucked up a lot of women, that they believe that men have to be used as a wallet, or that men have have to be taken advantage of, or the man can be disrespected on. And again, once you find the right woman that is not going to be like that, and guys, believe me, there are out there, because I used to believe, I used to have that same red pill mentality. It's like, oh, women are all shit and like they don't exist. I'm like, love is
Yeah.
not for me. No, there are very few select women that are out there that are going to be very supportive, that they're not going to require you to be the sugar daddy. And it's gonna bring that provider out of you, because they don't ask you, it's gonna motivate you, and it's gonna basically pull that thing out of you. It's like, nah, like, baby, I got it. Like, let me take, I'll take care of that.
Dude, let's fucking go, bro. It's so true, man. And it goes on both ways too. Like that role could be shifted on either side. And I just feel like when you meet the right one and and you're both pushing each other, that's when it's just like you gotta pop the ring on it, bro. You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? Like, don't fucking let that shit
That's
go.
right. Gotta lock it down, baby.
Lock it fucking down. So timeline. Not that it matters so much. $1 billion is a big fucking goal,
Yeah.
bro. So you're saying what? Like,
I'm thinking, so my timeline is like get sovereign assets to be able to exit for like quarter billion,
okay,
half a billion
okay,
within the next 10 years.
okay.
Okay. But you know, I kind of would like it to be just like how Hormozy did his, like with acquisition.com. That is
Yeah.
like, once we got to 100 million, we were considering selling, and then we grew it to 500 million, and now we just don't want to sell because we're having so much fun with it, right? I want to get to that point where I'm like, okay, sovereign assets could sell for $500 million, but I'm having so much fun with it that I don't want to,
I
right?
love that.
And throughout this entire time, my goal is to be able to build a portfolio of 100 businesses that I'm invested in, right? And from there, I would like, so I'm 28 now.
Okay.
So 10 years from now, that's going to be 38. So add another 5 years. I'm thinking like by 43, like latest by 45. I'm thinking that $1 billion mark will be hit. I'm not thinking, actually, I know it.
Follow the man and follow the journey. And then we'll have to get you back on so we can see what happens. But I love how clear you are with it.
Yeah.
And it's cool too. And it's solidifies why you're on, because we're both on track for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yep.
And it feels good to be around someone else who's like 100% unwavering belief it already is. And I just got done reading a book, and it talks about, it's a fucking good ass book. If you haven't read this one, this might be one that we want to put on your fucking on your list. Reading it for a second time. Be your future self now.
Interesting. I haven't read it, no.
And it talks about how every action that you make in this present time is like you are already at that
Wow.
$500 million company, right? 100 different businesses that you own. You're already at the 45. So what I did was, and it talks about the exercise, write a letter from your future self to your present self to tell you how it's going. Could you imagine that shit, bro? Could you imagine me at 45, bro, and be like, bro, you got a jet. You got a fucking hangar. You got all these cars. You're on all these people. Like, it's crazy. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even believe you're on track for a $1 billion exit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
and so I wrote the letter, and then my wife wrote the letter, and then she wrote hers. She's fucking coming to tears. I'm coming to tears. She read my shit because, like, I was diagnosed with learning disability. She was in my ear, so I'm shitty at reading and writing. It's not my thing, right? I'm fucking Monday motivation. I try to read the letter to my team, and I was fucking it up. I'm like, all right, team, I'm gonna read this a couple times, get this shit down, because I went to ChatGPT. I just fucking dumped all the things, right? And I said, I need you to write this more eloquently and make it so it's a story and someone can read it and really emotionally get involved, because with emotion comes motion, right? You need to get emotions behind the thoughts so they could become things. And we did it, bro, and it was just so fucking beautiful. So anyone out there, and also you too, try that fucking shit, bro. Read the book.
Yeah, send me the book.
It's only 4 hours long. I'll take a screenshot right now. And so this is how we take massive action, because we all fucking hella busy. I'm gonna go and boom, here you go. I'm putting it to you on your DMs, books, sent, done. So, but yeah, dude, it's only like 4 hours and 44 minutes.
Perfect.
And it's easy read. Get in the car. By the time you get back, put it on fucking 1.5, speed that shit up and get through it really quick. I do too, bro.
Bro, it's so funny because like everybody, because I even watch YouTube videos like that too. It's like at 1.5 speed, and everybody asks us like, how can you understand anything? It's like, I don't know. It's like I can't watch the video at normal speed because it sounds like they're talking. Bro, like I don't got time, bro. It's like, that joke where Arnold Schwarzenegger says like, like, oh, you wanna sleep more? Well, sleep faster.
I
You know?
fucking love that.
I'm like, okay, great. I can't sleep faster, but I definitely can listen faster.
Listen faster, work out. I mean, you got to be careful with working out faster, but
Yeah.
you want to make sure your form and all your shit is good. But yeah, listening faster, me too, dude. I'll be at the gym, whatever else. My wife says the same thing. I'm like, dude, and just like our podcast, like, or the experience, should I say, it's quick, it's fast, it's action packed.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, let's get it out there quicker.
Absolutely, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Why waste time? You know?
Exactly. You cannot freaking waste any time, bro. You
No.
gotta get to work.
No, you do. And that's the one thing that you can't get back is fucking time. And it's crazy. This is the thing. After reading the book and doing the thing, and right now I'm going to put it out there. I haven't said anything about this shit. My wife and I are doing this exercise, random fucking exercise for $50 million. We don't know how it's going to come. We just know it's fucking on the way.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So every single day we just play and we say, okay, 50,000, try this, 50 million. What would you do? Let's have some fun right now, bro. If you had $50 million check, just boom, coming tomorrow. Let's fucking have some fun. What would you do with $50 million right now?
Well, the first thing I would do, I would tithe back 5 million.
Okay.
So, and here's a little bit of a controversy. Like, I'm not talking about giving the church 5 million, but I
Yeah.
would basically give back 5 million, whether it's like building some wells in Africa or the Middle East or whatever. There's
Love
a
that.
charity out there that does that. So I would put some money into that. I would kind of divide it, right? So not only just the wells, but I would, for example, invest into mercy ships, which are these like big cruise ships that go in Africa and other like underdeveloped countries, and they help with like surgeries, like life-saving surgeries for free in
Wow.
these, like poor villages. I would also put it, for example, into Smile Train, which is kind of like similar thing, but it's like a train that goes down to South America, basically helping kids with cleft lip. So they can help them with that. So that way, again, that's what's called Smile Train, right? So
I
that way
love
they can
that.
smile again. And then I will also definitely put some money behind like the care organization or OUR, which they help children that have been sex trafficked or they've been abused to be able to get back into society, rescue them, and all that stuff. So that's what I would do first when it comes to like tithing, right? And the reason why I say it like that is because that's what 2 Corinthians 9:7 says, that it's like give with all of your heart, right? Because God loves a cheerful giver. It doesn't really talk about like giving to the church, which again we can kind of get into a much deeper argument there. And then with the remaining 45 million, the first thing that I would do, I would open up an IUL, like a 5-pay IUL, what I would do $1 million a year.
Wow.
Right, into that. And then with the other 40 million, the first thing I would actually go do is I would talk to my accountant. I would be like, okay, got 40 million. How do we invest this money in a way that we reduce taxes? From there, I would probably invest 20% into a private equity.
Okay.
Right. And I would invest it in a way that I can get some sort of pass through like tax deference, which there are ways to do it. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I'm not a tax accountant, but anyway, I would do it like that.
Do your research first.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would essentially invest into private equity, into some of these pre-IPO opportunities that have like a potential for an 8x return.
Yep.
Then the remaining. Because let me do the math.
You got to break it down. I love how detailed this fucking segment is. This is dope, bro.
Absolutely. Okay, so 40 million minus 20%. So I have $32 million left. I would use 10 million. I would use 10 million to buy businesses that I could essentially give ownership to my mom, my aunts, my brother, uncles, all that stuff. So that way they don't have to ever worry about like actually working a job anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And I just become kind of like a minority partner where I can still get a little bit of equity in those businesses. So essentially that leaves it. That leaves it with 22 million. I would actually keep 2 million cash. Probably divided into, I would probably keep 2 million cash.
Okay. Mayweather and shit.
Yeah, just because it's good to have cash on hand.
Yeah.
Right. Then with the remaining,
Still got 20.
Yeah, with the remaining 20, dude. With the remaining 20, I would probably this is what I would do. Yeah, with the remaining 20, I would essentially hire a real estate developer to do like $100 million project.
Wow.
To do $100 million project, because all I need is 20% down.
There's your 20
right?
million.
Exactly. So I would do, maybe just to play it safe, I would do probably like an $80 million project just in case, right? Because you never know, you may need a little bit extra for cash reserves and interest payment reserves and stuff. But I would do a real estate development, whether it's a hotel or a big apartment complex with 100 units.
Mm.
And the reason why I said the development and not an acquisition is because it is cheaper to develop it, and at that point it would be a brand new development, so brand new buildings. That way you can either sell it for a premium, or you can essentially buy and hold it. Sorry, you can build and hold it for the next 5 years and then exit it.
Boom.
Right. So that's what I would do. And then with the cash flow of all that stuff, I would essentially, like with the cash flow of the businesses, the private equity, the multifamily real estate, my IUL, all that kind of stuff. Now is when I would essentially go buy the houses. I would essentially go buy the cars, all that kind of stuff.
Let's go, dude.
And then within 2 to 3 years, that $50 million would end up turning into most likely like 200 to 300 million.
Dude, I love how, and this is something that you could do. It's just a fun
I love that.
exercise. It's just fun. And this is the thing, like, you read that, if your circle doesn't inspire you, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. You feel me?
Yo, iconic as fire.
Iconic, dude. And so that's where it's just
I
like at
love
the
that.
end of the day, you know, you got to be around people who's ready to make the moves right now. And the fact that you're only 28, bro, and this is your mindset. And let's just take it to a step further. If at the beginning of the episode and you're still with us and you're like, I don't know about this guy and investing and I don't know the fuck, like it just shows about your character, bro. It shows that you're more interested in helping others before anything else. And you took care of all the charities, you took care of your family, you took care of everyone before you took care of yourself.
Yes, sir.
And that's beautiful, bro.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
I love that you did that first, and it even gave me some enlightenment and some inspiration as well. Because I'm talking like, you know, take care of the neighbors. Her car's broken down. Get my mother-in-law a car, like similar. But I love how detailed you got it. And now I'm like, hey, honey, we got a project to do. We can go a little detailed, more detailed with the project.
Amen, brother. Amen.
And it's life by design, bro. Like, think about it. Like, I used to play GTA 5. My boy and I were playing, and then he got all this fucking money hack, and then I couldn't hang with him no more. But real life, I was going somewhere and already had this shit going. So I'm like, I got to get out the video game shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we already live in a matrix. This is already anything that you could think, like Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind can't conceive, believe, and feel, I put in feel, it can't achieve.
Yep.
And so, and we had like the nut on, Health Nut, fucking shout out Troy Casey, you got to check out his episode. We just did a short form before you got on the show. The team cut and edit, shout out Rennis for that. And he talked about that quote, and it's so true. And I think so many people are trapped
Yeah.
in this box, in this confinement, thinking that they need to work for someone or commute or get a degree. And yes, if you're going to be a lawyer or practitioner or a doctor, there's certain things that you do need to get your degree for.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's crazy. So many people get caught up in the how that they can never get past the opportunity of a vision and just a manifestation of the possibility of 50 million coming into your bank. And who knows, maybe the 50 million just comes for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just hit me up. Tell me if it comes. I'm curious to hear. You know what I mean?
You'll hear the first one to know, bro.
You're like, bro, the fucking thing came, dude. Like, what the fuck? You know?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, I truly believe in that as well. Now, here's the very important is
Yeah.
it's not just to sit around imagining, right? You
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
do the right things.
Of course.
You gotta put action behind it. You have to get the work done in order for that $50 million to show up.
Amen, 100%. And that's where what we were talking about at the beginning, I want to bring it together full circle. Just going through the exercise has just pushed big time momentum for Liftoff Agent, for my wife, for myself. She just launched her tea. Her big shout out for her. We start the episode with that.
Fire.
Liftoff Agent had a big month. We're gonna have another big month. My vision for this month's 100K. Last month was about 62.
I love
that. So we're gonna hit that. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
We're already at almost 300,000 for the year. You know what I'm saying? So
love that.
hit over 1 million last year, right? So we're fucking we're hitting it, bro. Like I want to be at 400,000 by the end of this month. So when you already have shit going too, it gets you pushed that much further to where you want to go. And at the end of the day, you learn like, dude, like if you really want it,
Yeah.
pick up the fucking phone, dude. You really want it? Get around the right people.
That's right.
You know, association, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're feeding yourself to. Before you know it, boom, you get fucking 50 million.
Amen.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. So, is there anything? Because man, this is your fucking show, bro. Is there anything you want people out there to know, man? If you were to think about like just, you know, there's youngins out there, there's people listening to this. Like, is there something like you want to, you know, this segment could be anything you feel like you need to get out there, you know, from your heart.
Yeah, man. Initially, my mind wants to go to like, oh, like get an IUL, just hit me up and get you set up. The the truth of the matter is like what my heart is really pulling on is, man, if you haven't tried to have a relationship with Jesus, you have to try it. And the reason why I say that is because Jesus is a free parent. And maybe a lot of people are just already checking out right now. They're just like skipping or they're closing out and stuff. But for the ones that are staying, I promise you, once you truly give your life to Jesus and people really believe it's like, oh, well, I don't want to worship or I don't want to be indoctrinated. And listen, a relationship with God, a relationship with Jesus is not, it's not about doctrine.
Mm.
It's truly, truly, truly about a love relationship. That's it. It is not about the rules. It is not about the church. It's about your relationship with Christ.
Mm.
And um, at the end of the day, listen, I heard this quote once. It's like, if I truly believed that the way to salvation is believing in Jesus Christ, how much do I have to hate you to not tell you?
Mm.
So to me, I really like, aside from the money side, like obviously we're always taking clients, right? We're always welcoming the conversation for IULs, mergers and acquisition, all that stuff. But aside from all that stuff, I truly mean it when I say that my life has gotten better ever since I truly rely on the Lord. And when I truly have given my life to Him, that everything I do, every conversation that I do it because I want to honor God. I want to honor Christ first. And then everything else comes with it. So that's the only thing that I would say that is on my heart right now that I want people to know is that, hey, man, like Jesus is a real thing. Believing in Jesus is a real thing. And until you've truly tried it, like objectively have tried it,
Mm.
that's when you can start to see the truth, man. A lot of people have given up on Jesus before they even give it a shot.
Wow. Dude, I freaking love that, man. I love that for you. I love that for all of you. I love that for myself. And it's so true, man. At the end of the day, it's it's a feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a feeling. And it's almost past language. And there's so much with the Bible and the church. And I was in California because that's where I'm from, and we were out there for almost 2 weeks, and just a couple weeks ago. And God bless my I gotta send him a message. Shout out Jesse. If you're watching this, it's all love, bro. Happy birthday. And at the end of the day, a little preachy, to each is your own. You know what I'm saying? He's new, to the whole thing, and that's where I feel like some people do check out because they had the crazy uncle or this or that or whatever else. But it's so true. Everyone has a relationship with the Lord as they do, and I feel like if you could just stop and sit and, like, whether it's pray, meditate, just sit still for a second. You know what I'm saying? Or do a prayer.
Yeah. I think the number one reason why people are leaving the faith is also because of the actual faith. And it's not the actual faith itself. It's not God. People don't leave and people don't become atheists or
Mm,
convert into anything else because God has failed them.
mm,
It's 100%, I would say, is because of human beings. And I agree with you, man. I've had that experience myself too, where I've gotten a little too preachy or too judgy or too holier than thou, and I'm ashamed of it.
ooh,
That's when I say is like I'm one of the worst sinners because I act like a Pharisee all the time.
mm,
Because I try to tell people, it's like, oh, well, the Bible said this. I have a gift where I can just remember scripture and stuff. And at the end
mm,
of the day, it's like, well, I'm being a hypocrite a lot of the times.
yeah,
So to me, I'm like, hey, man, like, forget the rules, forget the laws. Christ died on that cross so that way you don't have to follow the laws to get into heaven. Now, it doesn't mean that you go out there and become an absolute degenerate, but it's more because,
yeah.
again, here's the thing. It's like, and really quick, if I can just
You're
if I can
good,
just say
bro.
this, like, if you love your father, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna do anything possible to not disappoint him, right? So when people
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, but like that means like becoming a Christian is all about laws and rules and regulation. It's like, no, not really. Like, if
Mm,
you love your earthly father, right? If you
mm,
have a good relationship with your dad and you love him, you're not gonna shit on the walls. You're not gonna piss in his blanket. You're not gonna just like spit in his food, right? You're not gonna do shit that's gonna be damaging to him because you love
amen.
him, right?
Amen.
You're gonna respect him as a person. You're gonna respect his laws in his house, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing. If you love God, if you
Mm,
truly love God, you don't want to sin.
Yeah.
Now, are there going to be times that you will sin? Absolutely. But guess what? That's where grace comes in, and that's where God's love really comes in. It's again, it's
Yeah.
not about laws, it's not about regulation. It's about you making a choice to choose Him because He also chooses you. That's it.
Amen. 100%, dude. I love that. No, and you're good, dude, because that's at the end of the day, like, I like asking questions.
Yeah.
I'm not someone from my perspective. And when I was out there and he's preaching and he was driving me around, going here, going, I just listened.
Yeah.
We have 2 ears. So I listened with 2 ears and I spoke with one mouth. And they talk about this.
Yeah.
Alex Ramosi talks about this. A little bit of side subject, but same but different. Like the most quietest person in the room is one of the most lethal. Like the person who's just listening and learning and understanding and not needing to come from ego or speak like they know something. Because even if you know something, like you said in the Bible, it doesn't mean that you need to go and start being preaching based off of this or that or whatever. Because everything is upon your own interpretation of what the scripture said and what you've been through in your own life to come up with the conclusion that you came up with. And so that's where it's just like upon interpretation. And that's where I feel like for me, I have my my relationship. My wife has the relationship. We do what we do, even with the company Lift Off Agent. We start the Monday motivation. At the end of the Monday motivation, we do the prayer for the week. And pray on everyone to like have that successful week ahead. And I look at it like from a perspective is like, I want to come from the place of like where, I guess you could say Jesus Christ comes from. Someone who doesn't pass judgment, someone who's open and honest, and someone who just wants to learn and come from an open heart, because there's something I can learn from you as then you can learn from us, that we can all fucking grow and have liftoff, because we need the contrast.
Amen, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we need it. And we're also fucking instant gratification, 3-minute scroll on social media. We're not taking the time to slow down. And someone who's been on this podcast for an hour and 42 minutes is a real one who wants to fucking grow and have success and lift off and wants to be able to like really take this in consideration. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you being open about sharing your faith and where you're at and what's going on. Cause I don't know, I didn't want to make it all just about business, hoorah, let's go.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot, man.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's a lot of it what it is. And I have nothing to gain from your followers or who you know or anything. Like, I know Christopher. I saw you at Andy Ellis' event. I thought you were a cool person. So I said, let's come on the show. And everyone who's been on the show has been like that, organic. And my wife said, just reach out to fucking the Health Net. I was like, I don't know if he'll be on. And he said, email, whatever, support or whatever. I did. And he was here.
Nice.
You never know, bro. Like, you just put yourself out there. You just make it happen. You, my business partner, was like, I don't know about this Liftoff experience. It's kind of close to Liftoff Agent and the brand. I don't want to jeopardize it, yada, yada. And there's a fucking alien. And it's just like, well, what the fuck's an alien? I don't know. It's cool, though. It symbolizes who fucking knows. Are they real? Are they fake? Are they this? Fucking knows. I don't know.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? So we're just vibing out, having a good time, man. I'm looking forward to 5, 10, 15 years, keeping in touch, seeing what happens, bro. This is gonna be dope.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be dope.
I agree, brother.
And I'll go to your next event. I need to go. I'm doing the best I can to be a part of, our community here in Greater Phoenix. Serving, supporting, helping, whatever I can. And this is just a thought, like, and just put it out there publicly. Like, if you ever want to use this platform and you're like, hey, I got a client who's had some fucking massive success and has a story, invite them on, bro. Okay. Invite them on. The team will do all the editing. We'll do 3 short form, 1 long form, have a copy, whatever. We'll spotlight them and like give them an opportunity to talk about zero to hero, bro, and how you helped them, man.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
For real. And then eventually we have some goals with a warehouse collective and shit, kind of like where you did your last event.
Yeah.
We want to build something kind of like that, but more for a community vibe, for entrepreneurs to come together, and single moms, and there'll be daycare. And my wife wants her little tea corner, and we'll have a podcast studio in there. And like, so eventually this might be out of the house, but we'll see. I don't know.
Amazing.
We'll see.
I like the house though. This is cool.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, it's cool.
I appreciate you, bro. And that's what we wanted, because it's the big buildings, and you go into the office buildings and it's just like rigid and can't find fucking parking. And then where's the suite and shit? Like, this is simple. Here's the address. Come up in the driveway. Here's some fucking my wife's tea, bro. Meet the wife. Let's have a good time, vibe out, bro.
I love that.
Dude, so I appreciate you. If y'all enjoyed, go follow this man. Links are down below. Give him a follow. Let's go.
Thank you.
Big shout out to Lift Off Agent for sponsoring and editing, and the team and my partner for allowing this to even be a thing.
Amen.
And yeah, man, fucking let's all have lift off.
Let's do it. Let's all have a lift off, baby.
Let's go, my guy.
I love it.